As we chatted, we reached floor 60. Excuse us, Adalmann. Oh, to have Rimuru-sama come here in person. I am most regretful of the event that transpired. I shall willingly accept whatever punishment you deemed befitting for me. As soon as I called, Adalmann rushed to me and dropped to his knees. Still dramatic as always, but at this point I had come to consider this the norm. No, it came down to our naive planning. It was too difficult for you to handle the Holy Knight Order alone as you are. Your failure was understandable. No, I can only lament my own inadequacies. My opponents were very experienced as well. Yet I resorted to my old tactics I used when I was still the White King. I lost before I could cast even a single spell. At this time, Adalmann was just a white without power. Even though he had a wealth of arcane knowledge and combat experience, his body was still in the state of a lesser monster. The magic he could use was limited, and he could only summon lesser undead. The monsters he summoned would evolve after absorbing the magicule in the labyrinth, but it took time to do so. It was going to take a while for Adalmann's subordinates to become powerful. What we needed to do now was to make Adalmann stronger and fast. It's more important that you now are aware of the extent of your strength. Since you've learned that now, I have a question for you, if you don't mind. Please, do ask. To what extent can you use holy magic? Holy magic was the power of it. It didn't require you to concentrate the magicule in the air, nor was it bound by the amount of magicule you yourself possessed. Aside from requiring more preparation, as long as you possessed the knowledge and sufficient time to chant, you could cast grand spells at little cost to yourself. However, the usage of holy magic was limited to those who have formed a pact with God. The God in this sense referred to people who could manipulate spiritrons, the special particles that magicules consisted of. Adalmann was a fanatic follower of Luminism, but as he lost faith in Luminous, he instead turned towards worshipping me as his God. Perhaps now that the pact with God no longer applied, that must have been why he couldn't use holy magic any longer. Yes, I have become incapable of using nearly all of my magic. As it stands, even the use of lesser magic spells escapes me. I see. Holy magic at the end of the day was in the same vein as spirit magic. It depended on a pact of some sort as the user borrowed strength from a being of higher power. The same applied to Hinata. She couldn't have used any holy magic if she hadn't borrowed the power from Luminous. Then I have a question for Shuna as well. To what extent can you use holy magic? Also, who did you put your faith in? For me, technically speaking, I use it differently from holy magic. I only emulated it using my unique skill analyst. It worked surprisingly well. I see, so she imitated the magic. In other words, after I told her to analyze the magic barriers, she turned out to have learned how to imitate a part of holy magic. Moreover. And my faith lies in Rimuru-sama. I believe in his strength from the bottom of my heart. So, I thought that I would also be able to do it, Shuna said with an embarrassed smile. Ah. So, during our battle, you claimed that even monsters could use holy magic was actually. It was a bluff. Even though I was confident, you were the one who actually proved it. Shuna said with the same smile. Adalmann's jaw dropped to the ground figuratively as he heard those words. For a skeleton, this guy had some lively expressions. Right, let's put that aside for now. The most important element in casting holy magic was faith. It sounded like something similar to the soul connection ability. Shuna somehow mastered the essence of it. Then, I wish to bestow upon both of you the ultimate secret of faith and grace. Luminous taught me this not long ago, and it's top secret. Please don't leak it. Adalmann was already a high priest. If he were to connect with me, he would have been able to cast holy magic again. Nowadays, his magicule had been reduced drastically, and with holy magic his strength could once again be greatly increased. Ultimate secret of faith and grace. Oh, ahoho. I finally get to worship a real god. This guy is still such a fanatic, but I'll tolerate him for now. Rimuru-sama, is it really okay for me to know this as well? I almost forgot I was in Shion's arms. I hadn't been hugged by her like this in a while. It went without saying that I was in my slime form. I felt a longing for this feeling. I wanted to stay in this state. Shion wouldn't understand my explanation anyway, so I simply told her not to spread the news, just don't tell anyone else. Of course. Hearing her reply so full of spirit, I was satisfied. And so, I began to give a rough explanation. I see. In other words, if I put my faith in Rimuru-sama, I can also learn to use holy magic. I suppose you can. Although I hope that you can study it yourself in your spare time. You should also be Adalmann's consultant. I understand. I'm looking forward to it as well. I don't know how far I can take it by studying. Shuna was quick to understand. With her unique skill analyst, she would learn disintegration in no time. On the other hand, Adalmann. Wow, oh ho ho. The power is coming out. He was beyond excited. Holy cannon. Adalmann shouted as he thrust one hand out before him. A bright red light began to illuminate the depths of his eye sockets. The concentrated magic missile burst forth from his scalpum. This was the holy magic holy cannon. It was invoked by the will of Adalmann with a certain power. Oh ho, God, my God, Rimuru-sama. He fell to the ground and began to worship me. That's pretty spooky, please stop. Ah, alrighty. Looks like it was a success. Let's keep up the good work. Go and learn some more advanced magic, and if there's a problem, just go ask Shuna. I uttered in a hurry. Shuna understood and nodded lightly. I see, you didn't want to deal with this guy, so you made me his consultant. Since the person in question has heard it now as well, perhaps the right thing for me to do is to pretend I didn't hear anything. I'm very dull, after all, no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, that'll definitely drive her off. Rimuru-sama, I will not betray your expectations. Adalmann proclaimed in high spur. I then decided to ask him another important question. By the way, didn't you hurt yourself by using holy magic, considering you're white? Hahaha, it did hurt a bit, but it was nothing serious. I see. Adalmann's sturdy backbone let him tough it out. But that didn't really solve the issue. If he were to have Beretta's unique skill reverser, he could probably convert holy and demonic elements. That would have to depend on the outcome of future research. In any case, he should switch up his ability for this occasion. Adalmann, can you manage this? I jumped out of Xian's arms and cast a ray of light in the air. Oh ho. I excluded all the holy elements and tried to elevate the power further. This is an original spell of mine, Holy Magic Holy Ray. Holy Ray was a magic spell that didn't have any element affinity. If he were to switch to using this, as long as he cast it correctly, the caster shouldn't be affected. Even though this was magic designed to tackle single opponents, its power was greater than my Majido. It was an attack that pierced the enemy, making it less deadly than disintegration in turn. The time required for chanting was also reduced. Amazing, this magic is amazing. Adalmann was overjoyed. If he could master this spell, he should also be able to get used to manipulating spiritrons. When that time came, he would be able to blast even thicker beams of light, and greatly enhance their power. This was one of the magic spells that I requested Raphael-sensei to develop. I figured that for Adalmann, as he was right now, it would be a perfect fit for him. Don't be shy, I'll be there to discuss anything about magic. Remember to contact me. Shuna was ready to handle this task for me, to my relief. Then, please work hard to practice from now on, and master the holy magic that won't harm you. I sure hope that he would put in the extra effort every day, so that he wouldn't end up as a pile of bones after every fight. That was my rationale behind those words of encouragement. Adalmann was dancing with glee, but I got him to calm down with a gesture, before moving on to the next problem. Next, as it stands, your means of attack are still few and far between. You can gradually increase them in the future, but before that, something needs to be done first. And that is... Where'd you originally rearguard? If I had to put it in words, I suppose I mostly offered rear support for the army. When I was still a white king, I used summoning magic to raise the undead army and win by sheer numbers. I suspected as much. Since there were no such rules that limited the number of floor guardians to 1, it was just a matter of finding him a vanguard, and fast. I see. So, it was a mistake to set you up against an entire team by yourself. I'm something of a martial artist myself, but as a skeleton, it's not very effective. That's hardly the problem. This wasn't about his proficiency in hand-to-hand combat, though I think he mistook it as personal criticism. No, don't be so self-conscious now. It's fine when there's only one opponent, but when they come in a group, you have all the right to summon companions. Didn't you have a companion? His name was... Oh, were you talking about my friend Albert? Yes, that Albert Kun. He seemed to have become a skeleton swordsman now. Wasn't he a Templar knight in the past? His swordsmanship even put Hakiru up to a tough fight. That's beyond just strong. If we prepare proper equipment for him, he could serve as a force to be reckoned with, couldn't he? He is an outstanding man, surely, he will be able to live up to Rimuru-sama's expectations. Hearing Adalmann's proud declaration, I, too, became confident in the idea. If that's the case, please hand this gear to him later. I took all sorts of equipment out of my stomach and laid them on the ground. I heard that Albert could fight without a shield. Then I'd present him with this sword and armor, cursed sword, a bastard sword that absorbed life force from the surroundings, and converted it into attack power. However, it also absorbed the life force of the user. It was a complete failure. Cursed mail, it maintained a magic barrier that greatly raised endurance and defense against magic. However, it was, once again, a failure that absorbed the life force of the user. These were developed by both Kirby and Garm in pursuit of raw strength. They were planning to make them into a series, but discovered the flaw that no living beings could wield them. By the time they finished them, Kurobi, and even Garm, were exhausted. Nowadays this has become a fun tale. Nevertheless, the works they made were filled with memories, and they couldn't just throw them away. Moreover, if you were to look at their quality alone, they were both special grade gear. Monsters were living beings as well, and just as we thought no one could use this gear, I realized that undead could handle them just fine. How about them? Do you feel any worse once putting them on? We're already dead, so we don't really feel anything in particular. I confirmed with Adalmann, and it seemed to work all right. As soon as he unsheathed the sword, Shuna and Xian's expressions changed for the worse. This indicated that its life force absorption had been activated. And even so, Adalmann didn't seem to flinch. That should mean that undead monsters were good to go with this gear. Okay, looks like it worked just fine. Adalmann sheathed the sword and, with that, life force absorption ended. Looks like even the act of unsheathing could be considered as an attack. There's also this. It was a surcoat I made with sticky steel thread. It boasted impressive resistance to heat and cold, as well as slashing attacks. Normally, this would have been sold in our nation's market as a specialty with an insanely high price. I will take this. Albert will be overjoyed as well. That's great. With Albert as the vanguard, Adalmann would have a lot more room to perform. Oh, by the way, this reminds me. By the way, Adalmann, take this, I said, taking out a jet black clerical robe. It looked like a dark mage robe, handsome and luxurious. This was the most expensive product produced in the Tempest Federation, and would be sold for over 100 gold coins. For comparison, that's the equivalent of a classy car. Even the royalty and noblemen from other nations would find it difficult to afford. It was super rare merchandise. Its level of quality went without saying. The cherry on top was its ability to automatically regenerate after being torn. It was a rare piece of magic gear that was enchanted with special abilities. Oh, ahoho. Adalmann took it from my hands with reverence. I'd hope you can wear this and show your prowess as a white king facing the challengers. I think it's suited for a floor guardian and can create some atmosphere. To be honest, it partially came down to just being a hobby of mine. I asked for Ramrus's help to redecorate the floor. We made it look like a throne room, and Adalmann was to be the king leading the army of undead monsters. Just leave it to me. I'm good at it, after all. Adalmann was quite competent. Then I'll be counting on you in the future. You can also find a few powerful knights to serve as your squires. Understood. Then, I hope to confirm something with you. What is it? Your Majesty, I wish to bring a pet of mine to this land. Do I have your permission? A pet? Sure, I guess. I see, I don't really mind. You can have your pet join in the fight if you want. But take care to not let your total number of companions exceed the number of challengers. Understood. The land entrusted to me by my god Rimuru-sama, I, Adalmann, shall defend it with every bone in my body. There he goes, overreacting again. I was tired of dealing with this, so I decided to ignore him. Then, tonight we will redecorate your floor in the style of a throne room. You can decide the recruitment of your subordinates. Should anything else come to mind, you can find Shuna and Ramrus to discuss it with. Yes, my lord. Remember Rimuru-sama's words by heart and work hard. Xian, for whatever reason, concluded the conversation, leaving Shuna at a loss for words. But since Xian looked pretty self-satisfied, I didn't tease her about it.